what the Prime Minister's agenda is over the next 3 days. So we're not focusing on all of the other nations that are part of the G20. What we're going to share with you right now is just the Prime Minister's schedule over the next few days. Let's take a look. In total, the Prime Minister is going to be holding over 15 bilateral meetings. Remember, a bilateral meeting is a one-on-one with a different country. September 8th, so today, the Prime Minister is going to be meeting with the United States. And remember, with the United States, it's important because both Joe Biden and the Prime Minister are heading into elections very soon. India and the United States, their relationships are at an all-time high right now. Now, the Prime Minister is also going to be meeting with the Bangladesh Premier, Sheikh Hasina. He'll also be meeting with the leader of Mauritius. All three of those meetings will be taking place today itself. Now we're going to move to tomorrow. The Prime Minister has bilaterals that have been lined up with, as you can see, a number of countries. First, obviously, there is the UK. With the UK, there is the continuous ironing out of a trade agreement that will not be arrived at during this meeting itself, but it will definitely be a part of discussions. Japan, Germany and Italy, Germany and Japan in particular are both partners of India when it comes to trade. There is, as we told you already, also Italy. Remember, Germany, Japan and Italy also are part, along with the UK, of the Western Bloc. So even though, for example, Japan is not in the West, it does typically align with the US and the UK when it comes to their alignments versus other countries. And that bilateral meeting, therefore, is very important as countries sort out and decide in the backdrop of the actual summit. Let's move on. September 10th. So we're now talking about Sunday. We've skipped ahead. The working lunch meeting with the French President Macron. Now remember, the India and France are already defense partners. They have a very long relationship. The key goal, though, of this summit is economics. So it's going to be economics that is a discussion point with the French president. Remember, he's played a key role, especially in the beginning of the Ukraine war, discussing and keeping conversation and phone lines open with both Russia and Ukraine. September 10th, also an informal meeting, so not bilaterals technically, informal meetings that will be taking place with the UAE, with Canada that typically falls in the Western Bloc along with the United States and UK, with Turkey, which is very interesting because Turkey will often side with the Western Bloc and side with China and Russia. It plays that middle ground. And of course, as you can see, Comoros. Now, we're also going to be moving on. September 10th, informal meetings will also be taking place with South Korea, as you can see over here, Brazil and Nigeria. Brazil, remember, is going to be the next country to take on the G20. Indonesia last year, India this year, and Brazil, which is why that meeting will also be so important. Let's move on now. My colleague Payal brings you this ground report. Take a look.
As the national capital battles to see the biggest summit of the century, the G20 Summit, take place in the weekend in the national capital. We are currently now at the New Delhi railway station. The New Delhi railway station, which is supposed to be a chock-a-block place, has now seen a lesser footfall given the fact that Railways has decided to terminate or probably cancel more than 250 trains over the next 3 days' time as well. But still, several passengers are there with their families waiting to board their train. A lot of them have come in from far and wide. Let's try and ask them how the experience has been. आप घर से कितनी देर पहले निकले थे?
निकले थे आधा घंटा पहले।
आपको गाड़ी वाड़ी मिल गई?
ओला बुक किए थे।
मिल गए आराम से? कोई दिक्कत नहीं हुई?
कोई दिक्कत नहीं।
We'll try and ask in a couple of other people as well, given the fact that a lot of people have come here with family. There, a lot of people I can see here with kids as well. आप बच्चे के साथ सफर कर रहे हैं, आपको आने में कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं हुई क्योंकि ऑलरेडी?
I was in very much, मतलब मुझे प्रॉब्लम लग रहा था कि शायद होगी, लेकिन रास्ते में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं हुई। बहुत आराम से हम लोग आ गए। मैं अपनी मदर, वाइफ सबके साथ आया हूँ। मेरे ट्विंस बच्चे हैं, सब अभी लंच करने के लिए गए हुए हैं, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं।
Well, of course, we'll try and get in a word from a lot of other people because remember, this the railways is the lifeline of the country. Several hundreds of people, several thousands of people travel every day across various ways. आप भाई साहब आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं? आप कहाँ जा रहे हैं?
पटना जा रहे हैं, पटना।
आपको यहाँ पे आने में कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है?
ना, दिक्कत तो नहीं हुई है। मेट्रो से।
कैसा रहा एक्सपीरियंस मेट्रो से आने का?
बढ़िया रहा।
आप बताइए।
All right, my colleague Siddhant is with us from inside the Bharat Mandapam. He's been bringing us coverage over the last few hours. Let's go over to him right now to understand more about the next few days. Siddhant, we continue to see dignitaries arrive. They're landing on Indian soil and they're getting ready for the series of meetings that lie ahead. Can you tell our audiences, because we know we just took a look at an important press conference that just took place, what is the latest? Because this is the key question on everyone's minds. What is the latest when it comes to the countries arriving at a consensus, a common Delhi declaration? What is the latest information you can tell our audiences?
Well, that's right. So this one press conference was a pre-event press conference. Now the another press conference is going to be on Sunday. So there were multiple questions which were asked to Sherpa Amitabh Kant, to Chief Coordinator Harsh Singla regarding the consensus building. Because to the best of our knowledge, Para 3 and Para 4 are the two paragraphs to which China and Russia have objection to. And then when it comes to finance tracks, there are certain issues on which consensus is required. One issue is regarding the reforms in multilateral development bank. That is something which where consensus is required. So there were a series of questions which were asked to Mr. Singla and Mr. Amitabh Kant, but both these dignitaries preferred not speaking on the consensus part, and instead of that they said that they are optimistic, and since the final draft is something very secret, very discreet in nature. They cannot reveal the details unless leaders announce it at the time of the main summit. So they said that yes, we can talk on the entire draft or perhaps the agenda, but that can only happen once leaders summit will get over, once the joint statement will come out. Joining me now is Yash, and would rather take some questions related to digital public infrastructure to Yash. Yash was right here at the venue, and he was doing a lot of stories related to digital public infrastructure. There has been exhibition which has been organized by the government of India here. Yash, you were there at the exhibition center. What all you experienced, and what kind of digital public infrastructure mechanisms are on display here at Bharat Mandapam?
Well, Siddhant, if I'll tell you about the entire thing, there is step-by-step display of each and every technology India has developed over the period of time, starting with Aadhaar. So a virtual reality or augmented reality has also very well used in this entire exhibition, where if you just step into this zone, this has been named as Digital India Experience Zone. Once you enter this zone, you will experience different technology, be it UPI, which is one of the technologies which is actually sending shockwaves across the world when you talk about India's digital prowess. And when we talk about development in the digital infrastructure, these technologies are actually paving the way for India, because we have seen how a lot of nations have showed interest, and in fact they have already adopted to UPI services. Because if we look at US or the bigger markets where digitalization is happening but not via UPI, they are spending money but they are not spending via UPI. They are doing smaller transactions via cash, and UPI is beneficial where you have to do smaller transactions and where the amount is very less. So there you can using plastic money, or you might be using cash, but for the smaller transaction they're still opting for cash. But because we know that finance is also very core part of this entire discussion when leaders will be meeting at this very Bharat